Yeah, of course, we had the upheaval in the New South Wales Liberals last week. In fact, Mark Speakman took the first 20 minutes of my program on Thursday night when he said more than he'd ever said before when he was resigning from the position. The following day, as expected, Kellie Sloane became the new opposition leader. She joins me now live in the studio. Good to see you, Kellie.
It's good to be with you, Chris.
So I mentioned to people we go way back. We've known each other 30 years, right? We used to work in a newsroom together back in the day.
We won't share those stories.
We won't share those stories. But what a life you've led to get you to this position. You know, moved to Sydney 25 years ago, 3 children born here, a media career, then a career running a not-for-profit organisation. You're only a few years into politics. Now you're the leader of the opposition. How daunting is that?
Well, I've just jumped in and run with it. I have to say, I still can't get used to the title, being introduced as the opposition leader. It's an incredible privilege. And I bring all of that life experience into the role. So fresh to politics, but not fresh to leadership, have plenty of community experience, you know, running not-for-profits, on boards, connecting with the community in my former role as a journalist. So I'm trying to bring all of that into this role.
Now, I remember talking to you privately about politics maybe 10 years ago, about you thinking about going into it. And certainly when you first put up your hand for a Liberal pre-selection in Willoughby, I supported you on this program. I said, Kellie Sloane's a good person. That's the sort of person you want in politics. You didn't get that one. You came in through Vaucluse. Now you're opposition leader. But I just want to go back to that. Why? You're having a successful life and a very busy life. So why choose to go into politics? What did you want to achieve?
I think the first ever interview I did as a journalist was with the Premier of the time back in South Australia, and I got the bug from day one. I loved public policy. I loved seeing how the decisions that are made in Parliament impact everyday lives. And so I followed that through my career, and I wasn't content being on the sidelines. As much as a privilege it was to report on people's lives, I wanted to play an active role in the change I wanted to see. And first stop was really moving into the not-for-profit space, where I did get to have an impact at Life Education, where we were supporting kids and families to make healthy and safe choices, whether it's drug and alcohol education, cyber safety. And I managed to travel the state, and I met politicians on their patch, whether it was Liberal or Labor or Nationals, doing good work in their communities. And I thought, maybe I can have a go at this and maybe I can make a bigger difference.
So what's the number one thing you would like to improve about life in New South Wales as we speak?
I want to make it easier for families who are really struggling right now, households who are saying that the energy prices are up, that it's taking them longer to get home because the railways keep breaking down, that there have been cuts to health. You know, I think there is no longer an ambitious plan for New South Wales under this Labor government. I want us to be bold. We are the premier state in New South Wales, but we're sliding backwards. Builders are leaving and going over the border into Queensland. So practical cost of living measures, improved health, cost of living.
Now, this is where you and I are going to disagree, because you mentioned energy prices there. I know that energy prices are driven up by the push to renewables and the pursuit of net zero by 2050, and the Coalition federally have made the sensible decision to abandon that and prioritise reliability and affordability. But you're sticking with net zero. Why?
It's a position that's been consistent in the New South Wales Coalition since 2016. It was a roadmap that we delivered because
But look what it's delivered. It's delivered higher power prices and less reliability.
Well, if the lights go out in a few years, we're in trouble, and they will, because in New South Wales we are unique in that our coal-fired power stations are ageing. They're coming offline. We're going to have to sweat those assets. They're going to have to stay on longer. We are absolutely supportive of gas. We're agnostic about technology. And there's work we can do in the here and now while still keeping our eye on the horizon and providing that certainty and continuity for the businesses who poured billions of dollars into the New South Wales economy to get some of those projects on track.
But the reason coal assets are falling by the wayside and no new coal's coming in is because the policies are designed to shut them out, right? That's a deliberate consequence of the policy. So if you don't want the lights to go out, you do need a lot more gas generation. What could you do about Narrabri? There's vast gas reserves in Narrabri in Western New South Wales that Santos has been trying to open up for years, and it's been thwarted by government processes. Could that be fast-tracked?
Well, it should be. It probably should be. But look, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the mechanics of the energy grid on day one, really, in the job as the New South Wales opposition leader. But Affordability and reliability will come first. We're working with our Nationals colleagues on policies on the ground that will also address some of the great divide in these communities, the haves and the have-nots from the rollout. So you have communities where some farmers are benefiting tremendously. The rollout is actually drought-proofing their farms, but just across the road, there are people they're missing out and they're watching the power ship to Sydney. There are things we can do to address that, and there are things that we can do to support families to make sure that this impact as the renewables roll out, but we're also focused on other forms of energy. There's some equity there.
There'll be lots of energy talk in the weeks and months to come. Let me just get you on something else. So, the day after you became opposition leader, you went out to Western Sydney, and this is what you confronted.
We know that all you care about is the rich. You don't care about working class people. You don't care about the people who are struggling in the West here.
Now, these are hecklers. They're socialists and they're pro-Palestinian types, and they're heckling you. They're really trying to bully you and stop you talking to people. Should Chris Minns come out and all of Labor and the Greens and condemn this sort of behaviour? Because these people really are actually trying to block the political process rather than just make a point.
Absolutely. And those kinds of people are not going to intimidate me. You know, I am not afraid to have tough conversations, and I expect to have plenty as we campaign, as we sell our policies. But people like that who won't do me the courtesy of telling me their name when I say I'm happy to sit down with them and have a chat, who just want to rant, who, by the way, don't live in Western Sydney, who have just come out there to interrupt a news conference, don't deserve my time of day, to be honest.
Yeah, spot on. Just briefly, though, Chris Minns not doing too bad a job.
Yeah.
Seems like a reasonable bloke. How do you get on well with him, and you know, how do you beat a nice guy?
So I get along fine with him, and it's not about beating Chris Minns. And he does seem like a nice guy, but I'm afraid his government is not achieving much, and they have not set out an ambitious strategy for New South Wales. So I'll beat them on policy, I'll beat them on ideas, and I'll just get out there and do the hard work with a team that I think is outstanding supporting me. Gurmesh Singh, the new Nationals leader, we get along tremendously. You know, we're going to be a formidable team and we're going to give it a red-hot crack.
Great stuff, Kellie. Thanks for coming on the show. And your husband, Adam, we know he's going to be the handbag.
He's probably cooking dinner for the kids as we speak. He's fantastic, yeah.
Good stuff, Kellie. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Kellie Sloane there, the new leader of the opposition, leader of the Liberal Party here in New South Wales.